In yesterday's clothes, smoking my hair and my coffee's gone cold. You shoot me a look that says I'm a mess, I couldn't care less. Slamming of doors and the stamping of feet on my hard-wooden floor, just so I'm sure you won't be returning. Tell me what you expect after a bottle of wine and some second-rate sex. Just trying to forget our daily routine and our childhood regrets. We were just trying to get lost, but losing yourself always comes at a cost. And it looks like I've crossed your invisible line again. And no, I never wanted all the things you wanted for me. No, I never asked for all the things you brought to my bedside in a night time. And no, I never wanted more than your face at my window. I just want to be young and free. So pull me apart and take back what's yours so I can restart. Leave me in the dark with those papers left staining from when you spilled your heart out. And when you return, I'll be out in the garden watching them burn. Oh, it might hurt, but that should remind you that I never wanted all the things you wanted for me. That I never asked for all the things you brought to my bedside in the night. And though I never wanted more than your face at my window, I just want to be. I am free. You like me so you want me now. You spy me out and hunt me down. And when you're done, you leave behind fragments of my sheltered mind. You like me so you want me now. You spy me out and hunt me down. And when you're done, you leave behind fragments of my shattered mind. All the things you wanted for me. No, I never asked for all the things you brought to my bedside all night. And no, I never wanted more than your face at my window. I just want to be. I am young and free.
Boom! Here we go. That song there is by a guy called Finn Anderson, and I've used it in several videos. That song's called Fragments. I saw him. I'm going to sound like a right muso twat now, but I saw him in 2012 in a tiny little room underneath a pub in Edinburgh in like November or December or something like that. 2000. And he played that song. He played that song Fragments, and I and he never released it, and he had it on his sound his not SoundCloud. It was another website. It was like he had it on his website, and I downloaded it, and then I lost it because I lost my thing, and I sent him an email saying because he never released it. So he said to me, "I can send you the song, but don't like use it or anything." And he recently released another EP, and he included it in his EP. So now I'm assuming it's okay for me to use it. But yeah, so that's Finn Anderson. Hello. Oh. I've only just started, and already the computer is lagging. So that's not good. Oh, great. PCMO's here early. Thank you, PCMO. Oh. You had a lesson today. Well, you're taking to it easy. This doesn't mean that's not a big deal. I have no idea what any of those things are. Lol. You say meth Viking. I had a comment today on one of my videos, and this is what I mean about fucking, about trolls. These days are fucking useless. I don't know if you can see. It says there. What it says there. It says tweak or meth. To which, as you can see, I've replied saying those are literally both the same fucking thing. You idiot. I mean, what's so stupid? if you're gonna try, you could have put anything there. You could have put another drug as an option. He could have just put, he could have put anything, but he decided, but he decided to put, tweaking or meth. And they're both, because when you're on meth, you're tweaking. That's what, that's what being on, that's what being on meth is called, is when you're tweaking. So by saying, are you tweaking or on meth, you're basically saying the same thing. I don't know, Sparkle. I can't answer that. I mean, unless the word tweak has evolved to mean something else, but to my knowledge, it always, that's what it always meant. But anyway. Well, I haven't seen it, lol. So I'll make a note of that. No, tweaking tweaking was always meant to be someone was like, or maybe it does mean that as well, but that doesn't make any sense in the context of that question. He says tweak or meth. I mean, so well, maybe, like I said, maybe the word tweaking as well. But again, in the definition you're using in the context of that question doesn't make any sense. Yeah, exactly. You can tweak on meth, or you can be tweaking on meth. Twerking. No, he doesn't say. See, that makes even less sense. Twerking makes even less sense. Yeah. I mean, in the context of that question, you would, listen. Lots of things are bad for you. Just as I've always said, lots of, yes, things are bad for you, but so is lots of stuff. It's not a great philosophy, but I mean, it's no, you haven't, Nabil. Yeah, I've got it's not really a philosophy. I mean, I wouldn't put it as highfalutin as philosophy, but it's like, it's the same thing when someone says it's illegal. I'm like, yeah, it's illegal, but so are a lot of things. Which effectively the point I'm trying to make is that you shouldn't really base your morality of something based on whether it's illegal or not, because lots of things used to be legal that we now would no longer consider we would consider, you know, immoral, and lots of things still are illegal, and there are lots of things, you know. So, you know, death penalty, slavery, you know, literally fucking children. I mean, these are all things that, you know. I wouldn't say do what you feel like doing, because that is the sentence that starts the rapist manifesto. I mean, you know, I wouldn't say do what you feel like. What I would say is don't base your, you know, if you're going to base an argument, a moral argument on anything, then, you know, basing it on whether the, you know, basing it on the law is shaky ground. Because you're already making that, you're already acknowledging that, you know, your morality is, your morality is already malleable, but you're saying it's one that's not defined by you, you know, and I mean, there are several states in America that recently made, you know, e-cigarettes illegal. Would you say they're immoral? You know, yeah, but saying that it's arbitrary is meaningless. I mean, I would agree, but it's like, you know, again, I'm saying if you're going to make an argument as to whether something's, you know, you believe you're right all the time. No, never once said that. But your arguments are wrong. I'm fully willing to, you know what, logical thinker, I'm fully willing to accept that. And you're welcome, and you are more than welcome. You've got a platform here. You're more than welcome to point out where that's the case, or where you feel that's the case. You know, I'm open to hearing different positions than that, but I certainly don't believe I'm right all the time. I don't know where you know. I would say everyone believes they're right. I mean, it's like, you know, it's you know, you're making the, you're making the, you know, any position you hold it because you believe that is the best position to hold. But you should always be open to the fact that you're going to be wrong. You know, but you know, as I'm sure logical thinker here is about to. Hello, I see logical thinker here is about to at any point, you know, type some out. Yeah. And explain to me where that's the case. Nobody knows what they don't know. Well, that's not strictly true, is it? I mean, you don't know. Okay. I know what I don't. For example, let's say quantum mechanics. I don't know quantum mechanics, but I know that I don't know quantum mechanics. That's the difference. I can't remember who said it, but it was a saying once that, you know, a smart man knows what he knows, but a wise man knows what he doesn't know. Dunning-Kruger effect is one of those easy ones to pull out. I mean, it gets over. You know, it's one of those things that gets over-referenced and overused. It's, you know, it's easy to. Was it Shakespeare who said that? I don't know. No, that's not. I mean, he may well have written that, but I mean, I've definitely heard it said in the way that I said. You've also got to look at it from a simple fact is that, you know, I mean, you go back. We can go back and look at the smartest people throughout history and know that they are, you know, and see that they were how much they were wrong about stuff. And these are people, some of them who are heralded as some of the world's greatest geniuses of all time, and they were wrong about loads of stuff. So I have no, you know, I have no problem admitting I'm probably wrong about virtually everything. But who the fuck am I? Why should anyone expect me to fucking, you know? Logical thinker, you're still in the room. You said I was wrong about stuff. Come on, shit or get off the pot, sir. You're still in the room. I can see you're still in the room. Don't just come in and say you're wrong. I mean, yeah, I probably am, but, you know. Don't do what everyone else does, which is just, you know, bottle it as soon as they fucking realise I'm not going to kick them out of the room. Or maybe that's the new. Maybe that's the new. That's the new. You know, trolling now. Just say someone's wrong and then not say anything for 4 hours. Then say something else. I had a geezer doing that last time. He posted one comment every like fucking 3 hours. No, not that guy. No, that's a different. That guy was good. That guy, in all fairness to him, at least made arguments. He was terrible. I mean, he made them terribly. But yeah, it took him. He posted 3 comments over the course of 4 hours, and each one had nothing to do with the previous. Was not in response. He was that was a guy called Jim Bean something or other. He comes for those who don't know, Jim Bean. He comes in and he says, in the UK there are comedians who are being jailed, who are being censored and imprisoned for jokes, you know, for saying things. And I went, really, like who? And an hour later, he finally comes back with, there are comedians who receive threats because they're not left wing enough, which has got nothing to do with the first comment he posted. And I went, really? Who? And then he comes back an hour later with, a friend of mine got kicked out of a comedy club for being too rude. And that was it. So he went from, people are being jailed. I ask him who. It takes him an hour before he finally comes back and makes a completely different claim that's got nothing to do with the first one. And then when I ask him to clarify that one, he then just says a friend of his got asked to leave a comedy club. Which is a bit, I mean, you'll agree there is a big difference. I mean, whatever your position is, you will agree there is a big difference between someone being asked to leave a comedy club and being in prison. They're not the same thing, are they? But of course, these days, you get arrested and thrown in jail just for saying you're English. What a mind he has. Who? Yeah. Well, I mean, it was quite obvious this guy had never been. It was quite obvious this guy had never been challenged on it. You know, like, I mean, I mean, it took him an hour. Like I said, I wouldn't mind. It took him an hour, and the best he could think of was to, you know, it's like, I wouldn't mind I could live with it if I felt for 1 second that guy is going to go away and ask himself, why are you saying that? If you can't answer the simple question when challenged on it, why are you saying that still? And then he stopped. But I know that he's going to continue to go on to say that. You know, I know that guy's going to continue to carry on saying that to someone else. It's the same. I've seen it before. It's the same when you know, you have the amount of back and forths I've had with conspiracy theorists over stuff. And you do the old Gish Gallop where they break this thing and then you refute that. So they change the subject of this and then you refute that and then they change. And you can see them 5 minutes later saying the exact same bloody thing to someone else. I'm like, motherfucker, address this. I fucking refuted that fucking 10 minutes ago. It's the ancient aliens. Well, I mean, I don't, again, you know. See, that's one of those ones that's just so bonkers I don't even bother with it. I mean, I just can't be. No, Owen Benjamin put on a Jew mask for fucking attention. I mean, Owen Benjamin. I mean, I've addressed him in a video. I addressed him in a video that I put on this channel, and I mean, you can sum him up. I mean, I don't. It was 24 minutes. It was longer. It was fucking 4 times as long as it needed to be, because you know the only thing you need to address with him is the opening line in his PragerU video, where he's whining about the fact that he says these days as a comedian it's hard to know what's funny and what isn't. I'm like, motherfucker, that's literally your job. You've just described the job of a comedian. You know, your job as a comedian is to work out what's funny and what isn't, or to work out what you want to say and make it funny. And if people don't laugh at what you say, that's not their fault. You can't say it's society's fault because they haven't done the research, or they haven't. It's not, you know, that's literally, it's like a doctor saying these days, as a doctor, it's hard to know what is it, what is a disease and what isn't. I'm like, that's your job. If you don't know, then you're not a fucking very good doctor. You know? It's not, Yes, that is, I've said that before. It's like, it's a sign. It is. Well, no, it is. I've said this before. It's like one of my least favorite things. I mean, sometimes. I mean, thing is though, even if you're in front of an audience, generally what happens with, generally what happens is with comedy is you go over the course of time, you build up a set, and the set is made up of jokes that 99 times out of 100, this set. This joke works. People laugh at this joke, right? That's what works, right? And you build up over the time, and you've got a set which is made up of that. And occasionally, you're going to get that one audience where, no matter where, they're just not going to be into what you do. And all you've got to do at that point is just, you don't blame the audience. You just say, hey, they weren't my crowd, But more often than not, if you die in front of an audience, or an audience don't laugh at you, it's your fault. Because they don't owe you anything. The audience is like, no other audience is expected to fucking, go with something. If an audience don't like something, then that's their fucking right. As an audience, they've paid their money. They're not. It's not like, right, I've done the jokes, right? You've now got to laugh at the right spot, otherwise this is fucking awkward. I mean, I don't define, hey Lewis, I don't define comedy by right or left wing, or I don't define comedy. I mean, to me, there's two types of comedy. There's good comedy and bad comedy. Yeah, I've got loads of material that I can use as a, if something's not going well, but there's no gap. But I mean, that then you then run the risk of like changing your set midway through. Sometimes you've just got to grin and bear it. I mean, you don't know, like I said, sometimes you just get the audience, and at that point, all you can do, the only thing you can do as a performer is carry on. Don't let it bother you. The trick with as being a comedian is you've got to learn not to care whether the audience laugh or not. Like, if they laugh, great. If they titter, great. If they don't, whatever. But the trick is you give them the same performance, whether, regardless of their reaction. You don't start, you don't make it be, you just carry on. Because that's the difference between a professional. You certainly don't go on the internet and make fucking videos pissing and moaning about it. I mean, that's something that Owen Benjamin has to live with. He's a comedian who most people have heard of as the guy who complains that people don't laugh at his jokes. I mean, do you want to be known? I'd rather be in the position I'm in, which is basically unknown, than if the cost of me getting a little bit of fucking notoriety or a little bit of being a bit more popular is the fact I have to be the guy who pisses and moans about it. Yeah, but Ricky Gervais doesn't have that right to moan, because Ricky Gervais gets laughs. Ricky Gervais sells out arenas. Ricky Gervais, his DVDs are the biggest. He doesn't have that right to moan. That's what's even worse with Ricky Gervais. And he doesn't need to fucking moan about it, he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to make that. I mean, that's the thing that's annoying, is the fact he's playing the part of. He plays that. Ricky Gervais acts like he is being, like, and I wouldn't mind, but comedians like him, you know, they deliberately, it's quite clear from their set that they're deliberately constructing sets that they know are going to cause, you know, that are going to be controversial, that are going to get, you know, wind some people up. And there's nothing wrong with that, but just don't. What annoys me is when people act surprised. It's like you deliberately, you know, if people didn't get offended by what you did, you know, if you're deliberately writing material that you know is going to offend people, and then you go out and do it, and then the people who get offended act offended, don't start putting your hands up and going, oh, well, they're just, you know, don't put your hands up and act all innocent about it. You know, fucking be honest about it. Just own it. You know, that's what pisses me off about people like him, is they act like it's fucking, you know, is they act like they're they're above all that, you know. Well, as my dad said, Joey, you know, if you only make one person laugh, you're crap, you know. I wouldn't say your job. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, this is the problem, Daniel, is that George Carlin made that point. Your job is to find the line, cross it, and drag the audience with you. The problem is there's too many people out there. They forgot the second part of that. You know, they think their job is to find the line, cross it, and if everyone complains, they're a bunch of whinging, you know, PC cucks. I'm like, no, you forgot the second part. You know. But I mean, I don't agree that it's the job of a comedian to do that. I mean, there's, you know, your job as a comedian is simple: make people laugh. If you make people laugh, it doesn't matter how you do it. You don't have to cross a line. You don't have to be controversial. You don't have to be edgy. You can, you could do it. Look at someone like Tim Vine. I love Tim Vine, but Tim Vine is he's the least offensive comedian you'll ever fucking see. Bill Bailey doesn't cross. Jerry Seinfeld doesn't cross that line. You know, someone like, there's lots of comedians who are perfectly, you know, who are very, very good, who don't cross that line. People always have this, you know, idea that comedians have to do that. You know. I've seen Seinfeld. Seinfeld Live is incredible. Yeah, I thought there was a second part to that joke, Lewis. Or maybe it just doesn't work in text form. I remember seeing Gary Delaney open for, he supported Jerry Sadowitz. And his opening line was Winnie the Pooh. That wasn't the best chapter in Nelson Mandela's autobiography. what was his other one? It's like we took some the other day. We went out on some quad bikes, and we rode some quad bikes over the downs. The people at the handicap school were not happy about it. Which is similar to a Jimmy Carr joke where he says there's a school for people with kids with learning difficulties, and there's a sign outside on the road. It says "Slow children." I thought that can't do their self-esteem any good. No, it's not, lol. That is one of the oldest jokes. Fucking that joke's older than that joke's fucking older than me, lol. Joe, when Jimmy Carr started, he was a musical act. He used to play the guitar. So my favorite joke about feminism, what was it? It was I can't remember the comedian who it was now. It was I can't remember, it was an Asian guy. But he said there's a new dating app. There's a new dating app for feminists. It's called Angry Birds. I don't know why people pick. I don't know why you just picking on feminists. Oh yeah, because from now, because there's one thing about white heterosexual men that we've learned from the internet. It's that they've really shown themselves to be so thick-skinned and able to take a fucking joke, haven't they? God, anyone who makes a big deal. I mean, you've seen this. You see this, every day. It's like anyone who makes a big deal about snowflakes or anyone who makes a big deal about other people being offended. They're the most thin-skinned fucking people on planet Earth. This is why my Twitter. This is why I was blocked by most of them. This is why when I was on Twitter, I was they all had me blocked on Twitter. I've always got on with Kate. I'll be honest with you. I've always got on with Kate Smurf. I know she winds a lot of people up, but that doesn't bother me. She takes it. She deals with more shit than I fucking have. But you don't have to like. If you don't like her, say anyone, just don't watch him. Is cancel culture anything new, or is it just the same thing? Is it just a new name for something that's always... I mean, I don't give a shit, quite frankly. I mean, I fucking, I mean, I fucking, I'll watch whatever I want to watch. I don't really care what someone... I'm not going to let... No one's going to tell me that I can or shouldn't watch something. I'm like, well, that's your fucking business. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make anyone. It doesn't make anyone's difference to anyone if I fucking Yeah, I know that, but what I'm saying is like, is it anything new? I mean, is anything new? I mean, for me, it seems as there's a certain cynicism to it where people you know, it almost turned into like Pokemon Go for social justice warriors. Like people just people were desperate to find something they can, you know, so they can go cancel. Oh, this person's cancelled now. I'm like, does it? And the thing is, this whole thing, it doesn't really seem to affect anyone. I mean, the only people it seems to affect are people who are so insignificant already. You know, it affects people who aren't that popular to begin with, but it doesn't really seem to affect people, you know, who are you know, it doesn't seem to affect. It doesn't seem, you know, there's loads of people who I've, you know, who, I mean, it's almost like some people say ironically now, but I mean, I just don't fucking pay any attention to it, to be honest with you. It's of no, it's you know, if people don't want to support someone, or then that's fine, that's their fucking business. But I'm under no obligation. The idea that I'm under any obligation to fucking care, is complete bullshit. You know, I'll fucking. Because there's always just going to be some hypocrisy to it. Quite frankly, it's like, you know, I mean, even myself. I mean, when I sort of go through my old videos, I go through videos of mine that are like, you know, 10 years old, and I watch some of them and think, my God, I would not say that if that was uploaded today. No, I mean, do you know what I mean? And this is on YouTube videos. You know, like, Christ, if I said that today, I'd be fucking. You know, but you know, I mean, I could sit here and say, I mean, people sit there and talk about Twitter, how Twitter is all, you know, enables white supremacists, or it doesn't, you know, it bans, you know, it enables, you know, the far right and that. It's like, okay, stop supporting Twitter then. I mean, if you're choosing to stay on Twitter, why don't you cancel Twitter? Oh, because if you cancel Twitter, that would affect you personally, because you like being on Twitter. You know. But then you sit there and accuse Twitter of doing this, that, and the other, but you won't cancel Twitter. You know. I mean, that to me seems a tad hypocritical there. It's like, it's easy for you to say cancel so-and-so, cancel someone who probably you never supported in the first place anyway, or whose films you never fucking watched, you know, or whatever. But it's like, if you truly fucking believed in that, you know, then why don't you stop using Twitter? Stop propping it up. Yeah, but Twitter annoys. I mean, I'm not on Twitter anymore. I haven't been on Twitter for. Yeah, but people have brought out alternatives to Twitter. But the problem is, all the alternatives are all basically just filled with right wingers. You know, you got Mind, and then there's Telegram, there's all these other ones. And they're just, you know, yeah, Dawson's here with a stupidly worded question. Yeah, Gab is another one. You know, there's all these fucking there are all these different versions to it. You know, but the thing about it is like, do you want to? You know, I mean, what would be better? I mean, the problem I have with most of these sites is just the inconsistency. Like, I would be fine with Twitter if Twitter had just been honest and say, look, we're going to let it be a free-for-all. Like, as long as you don't break the law or, post things like, child pornography or fucking, stuff like that, then that's fine. But other than that, you can say what you want and, just be honest. But don't sit there. It's like what YouTube does. The problem with YouTube is the inconsistency. Is it's quite obvious that they're lying to you. Stormfront, hey, Stormfront's OG, man. Stormfront's been around. Stormfront's one of the oldest fucking longest running forums on the internet. I mean, the problem is with it as well. I mean, ultimately, the problem is this: is if you have this, if you open up a social media platform that is, and it, on the basis that you allow it's freedom of speech and you allow all of it, ultimately it just gets taken over by dickheads. That's the problem with it. Is that that's ultimately going to be the problem? Is it's going to get overrun? Is it by fucking by knobheads and fucking and trolls who have just as much right to say what they say as anyone else, but unfortunately they're going to be the ones. And so you ultimately, it's like if you want to have you can't have, it seems that the problem is you can't have a forum that's inclusive to everyone and yet at the same time allows, unchecked freedom of speech. You know what I mean? So I don't know anything about 8chan or 4chan. I've never been on them. Well, I know that, but I mean, are they really the only bad part? I mean, isn't it? I mean, the thing is, it's hard to really bust on 4chan because 4chan have never really pretended to be anything else. I mean, they are what they are. It's like buying a copy of the Sunday Sport and then complaining about the level of, But I don't read it's the one section of the Daily Mail I don't read is the horoscope. To be honest, I don't read the horoscope of any paper. So, How would you justify it that 4chan users post hateful, nasty content? I wouldn't justify it. But like I just said, I don't use 4chan. I don't know why you're asking me to justify it morally. Why would I justify? Why would I attempt to moral fucking use? I don't think morality comes into it. You have to ask the people who post it. How would I justify the real IRA? We say YouTube dries up, but I mean, why would it? Or why wouldn't something come along in its place? I mean, I remember when Twitter started. I remember back in 2008. You know, the general consensus about people was like, "Oh, Twitter's just a fad. Twitter's just a fad. That won't last." You know. Now, now barely a fucking, when was the last time you saw a fucking news, a news show that didn't have some story that was about something posted on Twitter? I mean, 90% of the fucking, communications that, people have with with Donald Trump involved Twitter. So that's that fucking out of the window. But I mean, so I've got a load of grit on my bed. Why is it that when you go to bed completely grit free, before you know it, your bed's covered in bits? Wouldn't necessarily say he props it up either. I mean, it existed before. I'm sure it would still exist. No, I don't miss MySpace. Yeah, but you see, you don't need to follow. You don't need to follow Trump. Is the thing? It's because he's one of those ones. It's there are people because whatever they post will end up getting retweeted or replied to. So you don't really need, or it will be on the news. Eventually, so you don't really need to follow. There's nothing wrong with it's this thing. There's nothing wrong with getting. People always have this thing about people get. You see this thing saying 62% of people get their news from MySpace. There's nothing wrong with that. It depends. It depends entirely on what that news is. There's nothing wrong with getting your news from any source. I mean, it doesn't matter where you get your news from. It's just that what it is. What's more of a concern is the fact. What I find more of a concern is the amount of people who will share an article without reading it, or they'll just share it. without actually they'll share. You know, they'll just share an article without actually reading the fucking content of it, or without verifying any of it. You know. So there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, all the news, you know, I mean, all of the news channels are, you know, have YouTube. All of the mainstream media outlets all have YouTube channels. They all have Twitter accounts. They all have Snapchats and Instagrams and Facebooks. With all fairness, you don't see as many fake news. So that was a sort of a fad that sort of died out a while. Is the I tell you what, the best, you know, the best fucking post I ever saw for people, you know, and this was the best. This was the best as far as old memes go. This was the best, you know, ever, because if someone had basically, it was a link to a website and to a blog post, and the blog post was called "Rickrolling is racist, sexist, homophobic, and transphobic. Here's why." And that's what it said. And when you clicked on it, it took you to the fucking, you know, never going to give you up video. But the thing was, people were sharing it, and then you just look in the comments, and it's full of people raging and losing their goddamn mind. I'm like, dude, click on the fucking link before you fucking post a comment. Just, why don't you just click on the, you know? You can bash on the mainstream media all you want. It was the best Rickroll. You know, people can bash on the mainstream media all they want. It's still where most of us get most of the fucking information. We fucking, you know, most of us do. In fact, most of the fucking alternative or independent media that we fucking watch online still gets their, you know, get their fucking news from the mainstream media. You know. This was always a criticism I had of people who fucking, you know, of these, you know, it's like, it's all very well, you know, you get a lot of these YouTube channels, like people like the Young Turks, for example, who'll sit there and bash the mainstream corporate media, and yet every news story, every video they fucking release, like, well, the New York Times has reported this, well, CNN has reported this, well, it's been in the BBC News has reported this, or the fucking, you know, the Washington Post has reported this. I'm like, you're using the mainstream media to fucking, you know, to get all your information. You can't sit there and bash them when the majority of your content, you know, it's not just TYT, but I mean, they're a good example of, like, you know, you can't sit there and bash them when, you know, you're sat there literally using their, you know, and I don't want to just single them out, but that's just one example. But I'm like, if your content relies on mainstream media, you can't then sit there and fucking lambast them for being. unreliable. Again, I don't want to turn this into a Young Turks bashing thing. It's just missing the point. You just fucking stop. I just use them as an example, but But I mean, also there's this thing about the fact that the mainstream media has corporate sponsorship, and then the independent ones will say, "Oh, we're funded by our audience." I'm like, but why does that make you? It's the fact that to me, that doesn't, just because you're funded by your audience doesn't make you independent. If you were independent, you would be self-financed. That would be independent. If you're relying on your audience for money, then that doesn't necessarily translate that you're more reliable, because that might mean that if your audience has a certain point of view, then that might mean that you're going to be influenced to not necessarily express certain points of view because you're scared of losing sponsorship. Why does being funded by your audience make you more or less liable to corruption, or than it does than being sponsored by than having corporate sponsorship? And in fact, some of them do. I mean, they'll say that this video is brought to you by Squarespace. I mean, how do I know that you're not going to fucking you're not going to sit there and avoid using a certain doing a certain story because it might fucking lose you might lose your Squarespace sponsorship, or your Wix sponsorship, or your or your fucking I don't think Ruben's gone right because of his audience. Ruben went right, and he attracted a right-wing audience. I mean, he's working for the Blaze now. I mean, oh. I mean, it's. Yeah, I saw that. I got blocked by Ruben years ago. It's not a big deal. Yeah. I mean, Ben Shapiro's a nasty, whiny little git. I mean, it's it wasn't that British show. It was just the BBC News. I mean, that's all it was. But yes, it was fun. Yeah. Now, is that a short joke, Yasin? Because that's because I put it to you that that's discriminatory. His sister's tits are massive. I don't know. I'll be honest. I haven't seen Ben Shapiro's sister or her tits. I've never understood the "are you a butt or a tit" guy, because let's be honest, it's not as if it's an option that. It's not as if you've never had the option of both. You've never had the option of both. Oh God, here we go. Hey lads, how's it hanging? Well, for Lewis, it's not hanging at all. Do I think he believes it? Here's the question: do I care? I mean, with all due respect, if I want an opinion on rap music, I'm not going to go and listen to Ben Shapiro. Yeah. Well, no one was talking about Brexit, Alex. In fact, you saying let's not talk about it was the first. You were the first person to come in. It was, it's the first time anyone's mentioned it. So you say don't talk about Brexit, Alex, and then you start talking about Brexit. Okay? I think you're being disingenuous. Right? You're trying to say let's not talk about it, but by injecting it into the conversation, you'll have a commission for me. Lovely. Is it going to be Morrissey? It's Morrissey, isn't it? It's nice to know you're investing. You're shooting your money wisely. Oh, they're right. See, I kind of resent I kind of don't like the idea that the question regarding right-wing women is, do I find them hot? I mean, there's kind of an implicit sexism within that, in that Okay, so if you you can reduce it, you can reduce it down, because they're women. I can reduce anything down to well, at least they're hot, as if that's. I mean, the first time I ever heard anything about Lauren Southern, she was being interviewed on the Alex Jones channel, and the title of the video. This was the title of the video, and it said all I needed to know about Lauren Southern was the hot blonde who hates feminists. I mean, that's it. I mean, that was it. It didn't say her name. It didn't give her political position. Didn't give her a job. It just said that's all she was. She was just the hot blonde. That was enough of a qualification for her opinion on feminists matter. And I'm like, I don't need to. I'm not going to get anything from you, am I, love? Yeah. It's not vague at all. It's perfectly. It's just that's all. Well, no, well, you could tell they were obviously. She was in the thumbnail, so you obviously knew that she was. They were referring to, they were referring to a woman. But I mean, the point of the matter is that even if it was a man, it's still the point still stands. Well, Yasin, if you're horny, you can go elsewhere. You're not going to get anything. I'm not taking my top off. Oh, ow, 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 ow. What's that? Oh. Who's that young lad on Newsnight? I have no idea. I've been watching. I was on a documentary kick the other week. There's just too many documentaries about paedophiles out there. There really are. When you get in it, when you start watching one after another, it's like Pringles. And after a while, you're just too scared to go outside. You're just, oh God. And the other, earlier, I watched a documentary about today alone. I watched a documentary about, and this was the second documentary this week that I've watched about Josef Fritzl. Then I watched one about Fred and Rose West, and then I watched one about the Hungerford Massacre. Yeah, I've seen one on Jimmy Savile. Do I feel privileged? I've never been anything other than I am. I mean, I don't know if that's something that you feel, mate. It's just something you. If you were to ask me, but the best way to put it is if your gender and sex and sexuality and race was something that you had to renew every year, like a fucking, or every month, like a Netflix subscription, like most people, I'm sure, would probably go, yeah, I'm sticking with this white straight male thing. Yeah, this is quite good. This, yeah, I'm fucking, and I probably would too, because I don't see how I don't see how being different than any of those would have made my life easier. So, but I don't think privilege is something you feel. It's something you either, and it depends in what avenue you're talking about as well. I think it's, there's certain areas where there's certain aspects of my life where I could say I've probably been at a disadvantage. But depending on what you're talking about, in a general sense, I've probably had it. I've probably been better off. If you could re-roll everything, yeah. I mean, I'd rather not suffer from. I'd rather not have all the. Probably go with that one. Maybe starting from a better economic. Maybe not start. Maybe starting off. Maybe if I could start again, I wouldn't start it down as such a low area. So low down on the economic spectrum. That's not an advantage. But class and that very is, this is another problem with when people talk about privilege, is that they speak about it in very limited terms. And but at the same time, I don't feel like I can't honestly say that I feel I've been disenfranchised, or that I've been at a disadvantage in life too much, than what I am. But I mean, that's really. But again, I don't know, do I? I mean, this is the thing. You can't. You don't really know, do you? All I can only sit here and say, this is who I am. This is where. Good night, yes. And all I can sit here and say is, this is who I am. This is how my life's gone. But I can't sit here and say that it could have gone worse or better either way, because I'll never know. But if you were to ask me whether I would change anything, probably not. Or if I would roll the fucking dice and say, trade one in for another one, then say probably not. I mean, I'm happy. Thank you, Lewis. I'm happy. I'm happy with who I am and what I am. I mean, I can't really. I mean, I think the word. I mean, the problem with trying to translate privilege into a conversation is a lot of people get defensive about it, because they feel as if what you're saying is that you don't deserve what you've got in life. You haven't worked hard for it, and that's not really okay. Would you trade being black for getting rid of the peripheral neuropathy? No. But then I've only had peripheral neuropathy for a couple of years. If I'd have been black, I'd have been black. But also, peripheral neuropathy is not something that you can visibly see from a distance. It's not something anyone can judge me on, from a distance. If anything, that's probably helped me more, because I get to walk around with my walking stick and my leg braces. And believe me, you wouldn't believe the crap people let me get away with when they see someone with, they give up chairs, they give up seats for me on public transport. They fucking get out of my pissing way when I'm fucking coming, I mean. That's not what he said, Lewis. No. Yes, let's put that in quotes, shall we? Quotes Dick Coughlan. I'd rather be disabled than black. Dick Coughlan. There. Splice that. Hold on. I'm just giving my rabbit a carrot. Getting rid of epilepsy. Yeah, well, you can't, mate. The reverse, is that what that's called, is it? I like the fact that you made a spelling mistake and then marveled at the rarity Yeah, what he's saying, yeah, Kolky, I think what he's saying is, do you think your life would be easier? He's not saying would you be who you are tomorrow. I mean, I think he's saying that the question is, would you, if you could start over again, and you could trade one thing about you for another, would you do that? He's not saying that, would you wake up tomorrow? Because if you woke up tomorrow and you were white, there would be a lot of other questions. But like I said, you can never know. I mean, there's bad. This is the thing. It's But what you can play is, what you can do is you can play the averages with it. Yeah. Would I say I'm a happy person mostly? I guess. I mean, I'm. There aren't many people. I'm someone who can say that. I get to do. I mean, for the last 18 years, and for for the last 2 years, especially I get to do I've got to do what I love, and and for the last few years, I've got to do what I love for a living, like something I would have done and have done for free most of the time. Not many people. How many people can say that? How many people can say, "Oh, when I wake up in the morning, tomorrow I'm going to do, I'm going to do what I love for a fucking living." I don't make a lot of money from it. I'm not. I'm not going. No one's going to build. No one. I'm not going on world tour. I don't have a big house and a fucking J Leno sized fucking 150 car garage, and I never will. But so what? Neither do most people. Yeah. It's never going to give me. It's never going to get me a gold plated fucking Bugatti Veyron. But I've got a go-kart. I've got an electric scooter and a hoverboard. I've got a banjo. I've got an internet connection. Yeah. Yeah, it depends what you need in life. Yeah. I've got a pair of gold trousers. You have a go-kart? I do have a go-kart. I got rats. I got rats. I got a rabbit. I've actually got, and we say that, Joey. Actually, what I've got, I recently the other day, and you can't see it now, but my go-kart, which is just behind the camera, I've actually got a GoPro. It's not a GoPro, but it's a much cheaper version of the GoPro. I've got a GoPro mounted to the front of it. So as soon as I like to go out early in the morning with it, to be honest with you, because there's no one around. Yeah. It's all very well in this, I don't mind going out during the day, but there's just a lot of people around, and that increases the likelihood of me having an accident. Right. So I sort of prefer go out like 7 in the morning, or go out, go out late at night. I'm planning on, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out Halloween evening, but I'm going to go out. I'm going to bring back. Do you remember a few years ago when there was that killer clown trend, when people were, the killer clowns were just appearing out of nowhere? I've got my killer clown mask. I'm going to go out of that. I'm going to put on my gold trousers, my gold t-shirt, my gold shoes, my killer clown mask, and I'm going to go out on my go-kart and ride around town going, ha 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 ha, scare the shit out of people. It's not Jimmy Savile cosplay. He never wore a gold t-shirt. He never wore a gold tracksuit. He had loads of jewelry. Now then, jingle jangle. But he never wore gold. He never wore gold tracksuit. So talking about Jimmy Savile. It's not a cheap hobby. Huh? I mean, I don't know what. I mean, no. If it's something's a hobby, it's not. It's probably not going to be cheap, is it? I mean, it depends really. I mean, doing stand-up weren't cheap. I mean, stand-up cost a fucking fortune. He did have a gold tracksuit. Okay, fair enough. But this ain't a tracksuit. See you later, Joey. Oh. There you go. Also, the eyes are sight of off center, so it's kind of boss eye. And I just fucking burnt me ear. I was about to take a fucking puff on my cigarette. Just fucking burnt myself. What do you mean just skinny clowns work? Well, I'm obviously not gonna gain 100 pounds, am I? Not for the fucking sake of one joke. Plus, my go-kart probably won't go that fast. It's when we're all clowns fat. I have no idea. I'm going to be wearing a gold outfit. How much more pimp do you want? Why do people keep bringing up Jimmy Bloody Savile? Ugh. Oh, my eyes are blurry. Ugh. It's all right, no problem. I'll tell everyone to stop talking about Jimmy Savile. Now everyone's gone quiet. Bexonymous, what are you talking about? You saw a video on Bam Margera. Oh, was that Dank Net video? Because I saw that one the other day. That's a pretty good video, that. Yeah, well, drugs will do that to you. He's say he needs help, but I mean, he's got the help there. I mean, the help is there for him. He just keeps fucking it up, you know. Bam doing drugs. Why on earth would you be surprised about him doing drugs? I mean, like Robinson's new look. He's fucking well. I mean, he's shaved. He shaved and got a haircut almost immediately, so it wasn't really a new look. To me, a bit too much. Why would it surprise you? But cocaine, but he was a celebrity. I mean, I know. Is Bam Margera okay? No, he's not. He's well, not celebs. Full stop to. I just celebs doing coke. Full stop is not the thing. I just it's I mean, there's still the ones who cleaned up are still celebs. Yeah. Yeah, I was always more of a Dirty Sanchez man, which is quite interesting when you look at you look at Steve-O from Jackass and you look at Matthew Pritchard from Dirty Sanchez and where they are now. They've both basically done their sort of like life. The changes they've gone through have basically been exactly the same. They're both cleaned up and now they're like fucking health. They're now like health fanatics and. I mean, what I like about Jackass and Dirty Sanchez was, I mean, I've always maintained like it doesn't matter what you're good at, if there's something you can do more than anything, better than anyone else, it doesn't matter what it is, you can make a career out of it. And those guys fucking proved it. Because I mean, because no one would have believed beforehand, that people would want to watch a show like that, like Jackass, like a show of just people just doing stupid shit and hurting themselves, but but they proved everybody wrong. you know. Well, does no one here remember? Who here remembers? Well, before you say that, I mean, there was a guy that there used to be a thing on the internet which was you just got kicked in the nuts, wasn't it? Which was literally a video of a guy in an orange jumpsuit with a fucking clown wig who used to randomly, who used to they used to film it. They used to randomly run up to people and kick him in the nuts, and that's what it was. And he just said, "You've just been kicked in the nuts." And that's all. And that was. I don't know if everyone. Yeah. It was. I'm sure it was fake, but it doesn't matter. You didn't know that at the time, do you? You know. Yeah, but happy slapping wasn't really. We should have seen it coming, really, because I mean, you give people camera phones. What's the first thing they start doing? Yeah, but the Tide Pod challenge wasn't real, was it? I mean, that was one of those things that was. I mean, that was, you know, that the Tide Pod challenge wasn't actually a thing, was it? It was one of those things that was just, blown out of proportion that people thought was a thing, but like no one was actually doing it. I mean, I don't remember seeing it. I personally don't recall ever seeing. I remember people talking about it, but I don't remember anyone ever actually doing it. No, happy slapping was literally just filming someone on your camera phone and then twatting them around the head. And it wasn't something that was done for entertainment purposes. It was something that was done. It was one of the first things that human beings decided to do with camera phones. The fighter, yeah, but again, how many people actually did it? I mean, like I said, even when you get these ones that are pretty extreme, how many people actually did it? I've seen so many. I've seen so many fake. You know, I've seen so many sort of fake things and hashtags and that turned out to be. I remember there was one. There was one years ago. I think I remember doing a video that mentioned it, which was called "Cut for Bieber," which was meant to be like this idea that if you were a Justin Bieber fan, you were being encouraged to cut your fucking, to cut yourself on camera to show your, and it was fake. No one was actually doing it. He wasn't doing it for Justin Bieber. Yeah. But the clowns weren't attacking people. It was just people dressed up as scary looking clowns appearing, just appearing in random places. It wasn't that they were attacking people. But were they real, Ben? Were they actually real? Is the question. Because you can fake stuff like that very easily. Or you could just, were they actually of the people? You can get a picture of, I'm sure you could go on Google Images and get a picture of someone's cut wrist and just share it and claim that it's you. What was that thing recently? That fucking Momo thing that everyone was losing their goddamn mind about. You know. So I don't remember the plastic bag challenge. Yeah, it was the Momo challenge. Yeah. I don't know who Bart Baker is. So whatever, dude. I'm pretty sure Toy Story 3 is not anime. Yeah. He makes parodies of music videos. Good for him. No, it doesn't. Anime doesn't mean animation. Let's be perfectly honest. Stop being a fucking. It's quite obvious when someone means anime, they're referring to a very specific type of, style of animation. That's pretty obvious, but yeah, you can use it any way you want. But unfortunately, if you want to have a coherent conversation, it's quite obvious to It's generally it's generally good to door hard. Yeah. It's generally sort of a pretty good idea to if you're going to have a coherent conversation to not just redefine something into whatever you want it to be, because it kind of when someone else means something completely different. Although why I'm expecting a coherent conversation in a live chat stream is beyond me. Yeah. Anime, Ben, it does exactly, Ben. That's why when someone says anime, they're clearly referring to Japanese fucking animation, not just anything that's fucking animation. You utter cunt. Otherwise, they would say animation, wouldn't they? And not anime. You fucking cretin. Well, CG means graphics, doesn't it? Whereas CGI is computer generated images, isn't it? Graphics can be applied to actual real life. To actual real life video footage, whereas CGI generally refers to one that is completely, No, this is not like the "Our Baby's Atheist" debacle. This is nothing like that. That is a fucking stupid debate, but this ain't even fucking. This is even worse. This is a debate that doesn't need to be had by anyone. Yeah. I'm not a massive fan. Family Guy's not that bad. I mean, it's not great, but I mean, it's not the worst by any means. Yeah. Are atheist babies? Yes. Petulant, immature, ignorant, temperamental, and only interested in their own self-satisfaction. Well, the 13-year-old boy ones are, Ben. Did I get many answers? Probably not many. I haven't had many yet, but probably a few. I don't know. I'll go back and check. You can't prove your God exists. But if my God exists, Jim, then there will be no evidence. Get out of that one, Rommel. One of the defining characteristics of my God is that there will be no evidence of that God existing. So the fact that there isn't any just helps my case. I never said no. So you're misunderstanding. No evidence would be evidence, but you've got to prove the difference between no evidence and the evidence being no evidence. See, there's a difference. See, you could still be right, and I could still be wrong, but the fact is, you don't know. Do I think Robert Pattinson will be a good Batman? I think he'll be fine. I don't care, but I'm sure he'll be fine. I mean, I remember everyone going mad when Ben Affleck got picked as Batman, and no one seemed to really care once the film came out. Yeah, but doesn't everyone always, when you think about it, it's like no one ever says beforehand who a good choice for Batman would be, or who a good choice for this would be, So you sort of ask yourself, well, who would be a good choice for, No evidence is no evidence. But no evidence doesn't disprove it, is my point. Yeah, but if Adam West was picked today, imagine if Adam West was picked today, even in his prime, and they made the Batman, I mean, I'm sure at the time, I mean, I don't remember at the time, but I'm pretty sure George Clooney would have been, when George Clooney was picked, everyone was like, no one fucking, thought that was a bad decision. And he made what was, arguably the worst out of all the Batman films in the last 20 years, in the last 20 or 30 years. I mean, the point with Affleck was that it didn't matter, nobody with baggage. Yeah, who's that? Yeah, but then you pick a nobody, and then everyone's like, who the fuck's this? Who doesn't have baggage with them? What actor doesn't come with, I mean, just because Robert Pattinson was in Twilight, everyone fucking thinks it's going to be, no one knew, no one knew before The Dark Knight came out, no one knew how good Heath Ledger was going to be, did they? And then Dark Knight came out, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing since." Everyone's there wanking over fucking, Heath Ledger's Joker. Yeah, but with Affleck, here's the thing: with Affleck, it didn't matter because did they, Jim? Well, there you go then. Yeah, and by all accounts, this this new Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix, everyone's talking about it and everyone was like, no one's ever going to be a better Joker than Heath Ledger. And by all accounts, this new Joker film is going to be, they're talking about it in terms of fucking, in terms of getting of Oscar nominations, No, people say that about his death and all that, but I mean, I don't think that was, I'm pretty sure if Jared Leto had died before Suicide Squad come out, people still would have said his Joker sucked. See, I don't think Tom Hardy would be a good Batman. I think Tom Hardy's too, Batman's got to have a certain, I can't see Tom Hardy as a Batman. He was Bane, wasn't he? Yeah, of course. See, I didn't even know that though when I watched the film. I didn't even know that was Tom Hardy. Maybe too working class, you fucking snob. There's going to be another. See, I don't think that would matter. See, I think that's one of those things where it's like no one's gonna. You got to have someone who's gonna play it. How many bloody Hellraisers have there been at this point? Have you ever heard of acting, Ben? Batman's from a posh family. You don't have to be posh to play someone from a. Have you ever heard of acting? Hey, Jim, he won a ping pong competition. He met the president. That ain't retarded. It doesn't matter, Ben. It's called acting, Yeah. No, Alfred's not a deep enough guy. There'd be Daniel Day-Lewis would be wasted on Alfred. Yeah. See, this is the problem people forget when they talk about like certain actors playing certain roles. Is they forget that maybe certain actors didn't audition for those fucking roles. It's all very good saying that they should have a gay person playing a gay person, but it's like, what if no actors of that particular persuasion auditioned for it, and what if they did, but they were fucking crap? does that not come into it? You know. Kurt Russell's too old to be Batman. Jeff Bridges is far too old. You could, but I mean, someone would have to actually write that. But that's not what they're going to do, is it? Yeah. What was the best Batman movie? I don't really know, to be honest with you. Would I act in my own biographical movie? It's a tad fucking. It's a tad arrogant. It's a tad self-indulgent, that, isn't it? So yes. If memeable means good, then you're getting into dangerous territory there, Jim, because that would mean that the remake of the Wicker Man would be it's a good film. Good movies are memeable, but does memeable mean they're good? Okay, there is no objectively. Okay, is there anyone who could have played Batman in place of Ben Affleck that would have made Batman versus Superman good? No. Well, then you can't say it, right. That I agree. Therefore, you can't say someone is objectively bad. In fact, I heard more people afterwards complaining about Henry Cavill than as Superman than anyone else. Okay, how could Steve Buscemi have saved the film? How? Yeah, that's my point, though. Ben is the point is that I was responding to the claim that Ben Affleck was objectively a bad Batman, and my point was that if you can't think of if you can't sit here and say another actor playing Batman would have saved that film, then you can't make that claim. There is no objectivity within the realms of this discussion. There is only opinion. See you, Jim. Yeah, when I had blonde hair, people used to. I got a comment on one video saying I look like Tim Roth if he was a Russian porn star. I don't know what to make of that. You can see it. Thank you. I look like Heath Ledger Joker. Thanks, Ben. Hold on.